about the latest and greatest in the National Basketball Association. Notably, we're going to talk about the Boston Celtics today, have kind of a lengthy discussion about their playoff odds. We think they, obviously they're surging right now. They're fresh off a 9-game winning streak that was recently snapped, but they are exciting all of a sudden again. And Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown look great. So we're going to dive into that. We'll talk a little bit about Markelle Fultz and Jonathan Isaac. What is up with their future here with the Magic? What's kind of going on there. Additionally, we're going to talk a little bit about just some of the tanking teams, who wants to get a top pick more than the others, who's maybe trying to develop their players more right now. Kind of discuss some of that. Anything else you want to go over today, Dalton?
No, I mean we'll see how it goes.
Well, let's go right away then. We're going to talk about the Boston Celtics today, previewing their playoff odds. Currently, they are surging up in the Eastern playoff standings. They're fresh off a 9-game winning streak that was snapped by the Detroit Pistons. But what's that?
Really just Cade Cunningham, but and Sadiq, I guess.
Yeah, carrying whatever else is on that team. But the Boston Celtics overall, I think they're now 34-25.
They're 6th seed. They're the next team is half a game behind them.
So I mean, they're getting right to where they should be. There's a lot of good teams in this Eastern Conference right now. I think as long as you're in the top 6, maybe get into the top 5 aspirationally, I think that's great. And they've got a lot of momentum right now. They made some switches on defense that wasn't working necessarily early on. Udoka is showing that he's willing to adjust. Unfortunately, Marcus Smart went down recently, but overall, this team, I think, has a bright future ahead into the playoffs. We both know they're one of the brightest young teams in the league, period. And, they've got some playoff experience, too. So we'll see what happens this year. What are your kind of thoughts just overall on these guys heading into the postseason?
Yeah, I like it. I think they should feel a little bit good. They certainly made it. They know what they need to improve on, and they're making improvements. That's what the huge trade for Derek White was for, and it's certainly going to help them out. To me, it comes down to that. So, I think they have enough star power, which is actually really nice to start off of. You look at other playoff teams, you're like, they need another star. They need more. Like the Cavs you'd like to see another star. Obviously the Kings. So I think they have all that. It's just that primary playmaker. And I think it's a very similar storyline regarding Tatum to what Giannis had last year. I think we know he's a superstar, but can he lead this team to more? Can he get there? So I don't know if he can make that jump. I don't know if he's not as good as Giannis.
They have a lot in front of them in the East, including Giannis. They've got Kevin Durant to worry about, James Harden and Embiid on another team. It's just East has gotten a lot tougher.
Yeah. And I think them and the Hornets both suffer from they didn't change as much, and that was a fault because the East got better. Everyone made improvements, and if you're not getting better, you're getting worse in this league.
Hey, they brought back Daniel Tice. Talk about getting better.
Yeah. Well, now they got better, and now we're actually seeing them get better because of the acquisition of White. I don't think re-signing Schroeder, that wasn't the best.
Tice, and they were winning games before that. They were starting to win.
They were
just because Tatum has obviously his season's turned around. Jaylen Brown's still having a great season. But they've bought in a little bit more defensively, and I think the rotations have made a bit more sense recently too. Obviously, Dennis Schroeder was a fine player, but I don't think he made as much sense as a backup point. Rather give those minutes to maybe Pritchard or Naismith.
Yeah, I think he's fine when he's filling that bench role. He's certainly not the starting point guard they need. I think. Right now they're 20th in assist turnover. Usually if they go out and get that guy, you hope that White fills that bench role that they really need and facilitate the bench scoring. That would be perfect. I think he's great. I think they're just a piece away from really being talking about a contender that's an elite playmaker. I mean, also they're 24th in pace. They have way too many ISOs. Like their main plays consist of either Jalen doing an ISO or Jason doing an ISO, which
Yeah,
it's
no,
not
the
clean
offense is
offense. It's
not
very
very
stagnant.
creative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 24th in pace is exactly what I just said. So like
Mhm.
I I think they can do it. I think there's a market. I think there's playmakers that will become available soon. I think that'll really help them out. I
Yeah, I
also
don't
would
know
like to
who's
see.
gonna become available. I mean, who's
Well,
gonna?
I mean, I think Rubio would certainly be a nice fit on this team because they need a playmaker that doesn't necessarily need to score. They
Yeah,
just
he's
need
an
an elite
ACL.
playmaker. Well, it's coming off next year. He's still off. He's still going to be.
They
He'll
said
get
they want to
signed
get a
this offseason.
solution better and sooner because, like, I
Yeah.
mean, he's not gonna be ready to start next season. He
No,
might
that's starting
come like
next season.
midway through. I would. I don't know.
He's also not my. He's not my final answer. He's just one guy off the top of my head. I think they would improve a lot though if they. It just doesn't. I mean, they might on the book, but it just doesn't seem like Jalen Brown is fit into their offense. Not that he doesn't fit in their offense, that they just don't write enough offense for Jalen Brown. A lot of it just seems like ISOs from the wing, and he just gets like secondary or like the last 10 seconds they'll give it to him and be like, make a play. Like it doesn't. It just doesn't seem as involved in the offensive scheme as or Udoka has for Tatum. So I'd like to
Yeah,
see that change a lot more. You know, I think he's certainly a great talent, and I think under the certain leadership, he could come out to be even more of a superstar. I think if Jalen
yeah.
wasn't there, would you really see that?
No, they're
Jason,
a
I
very
mean,
talented duo, Jalen and Jason, but they have a tough time coexisting in offense because they both are primary scorers, and they do need someone who can get the ball, in between to them and get them buying in more. Like, honestly, a guy who they would love to have, who the Wolves are not going to give up, is Patrick Beverly. Like, they're looking for
that'd be nice.
that type of glue guy that can get the motivation out of those other guys. And that's what's been so great for the Wolves with Beverly. Who's someone else that can maybe work for the Celtics. I don't know. Maybe if they can get Mike Conley somehow, that'd be great.
That would be great. Yeah.
He's not money. Um, but, someone like that, I think it would be great.
Yeah, not that he's available, but I think Alonzo Ball type player is kind of perfectly
Oh,
what they
yeah.
need. Just an off-ball defender,
Yeah, they tried
certainly a
to
great
get him
playmaker.
in the
Yeah,
offseason. It sounded like that was a decent possibility. I was like, oh, damn, that's a good fit.
that would have been the answer, honestly. But I mean, there's others out there. We just have to think that Mike Conley, I mean, given another year, I mean, he'll probably by the time he's like ready and available because Donovan Mitchell's wanting to shake things up, he'll probably be too old.
Yeah,
But
that's kind of starting to
certainly,
feel like he's getting old.
yeah, there's certainly players that are out there that we could talk that we can make a later episode about. But I really think it's a really nice situation to be in. I mean, we're only talking about one thing. Like their defense can hold up. They don't have a poor defender, really. Jason Tatum's a good defender. Brown's a really nice defender. They got Horford. They got Robert. They got Marcus Smart. I mean, they have good defenders. Their defense is fine. It's not like they don't have the star power. It's literally just down to this thing. Just I like to see them push the pace, get a better playmaker, and that's not a bad thing to have. And I think I think we could see them in the second round. I think is their peak. I think
I don't
that's
know
the
if that's
same
their peak. I mean, I
for
think their
this year.
I think
This
their
year.
peak is like, Eastern Conference Finals this year.
This
If
year?
like, yeah, if like all goes right, like why not? The Hawks made it to the Eastern Conference Finals last year.
True, but the Hawks made it in the Eastern Conference Finals when there wasn't five teams that could make it to the finals. Like you look at the Bulls, Nets, Sixers, Bucks, and Heat, all those teams could make it to the finals. And one of those teams isn't even going to make it out of the first round.
Yeah, I
So
don't think a lot of those teams. I don't think all those teams are like that much better than the Celtics. I think like the Celtics aren't that far behind. Like they've got some really solid players that could get them hot in the postseason. I mean, they got to the Eastern Conference Finals when Tatum was in his rookie year.
yeah, but that was a very depleted East. That was when they were talking about just collapsing both conferences because the East was so bad.
We have no idea what could happen. I mean, we think the
Yeah.
Sixers are strong, but Harden has always been a playoff choker. Joel Embiid doesn't have great knees, and Harden is injury prone as well. The Nets, we all know their problems. The Bucks have been dealing with injuries as well all season long. The Heat, they're full of fragile players that have been dealing with injuries as well. I mean, you never know. I'm not saying like you're ever gonna wish injuries on someone, but I mean, injuries they happen a lot, and like it's especially in the playoffs. Like, I mean, we see it happen all the time, so it's bound to happen for someone. Even just last year, we saw it with the Nets. It basically was the reason they lost.
Yeah, but I don't know. The team they've put together, I don't see it going them past the second round. I mean, they certainly could, but if they had 10 tries to do it and they had to redid the playoffs every time, I'd say no. I'd say the best chance is just the second round. But
We'll see.
yeah.
Yo, Strictly Ball Business. I'm Alec, and this is Dalton. We always talk about the NBA. Come join us, and let's have some fun.